Welcome to this video in which together we shall create a spreadsheet which is going to calculate a mean average for us of a set of data. And as you know, there are different ways to say something about the average of a set of data. You have learned the mode, the median and the mean. And today we are going to be talking about the mean or the average mean. And if you have the task in front of you, it says you're going to prepare a spreadsheet that will find the mean average of the price of a can of cola. You will then use your spreadsheet to answer some questions. Okay, so there we go. I've already opened my spreadsheet program, Excel, and before I start, I am already going to save it. So I'm going to click on the little, that is a floppy disk. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that is anyway the icon to save your file. So if you click on that, and I'm going to save it on my, I'm going to give it the title mean average, but I am also going to include my name, Mr. Van der Merle, and I say save. There we go. Okay, what is it saying? Part 2. Enter the following column headings. Change the width of the columns to 15 by right click. Make it bold and center these column headings. Change the font color of the price and frequency heading to red, because you will only enter numbers into the red columns. Okay, so I'm going to start by typing price, enter. And then of course I like to do the capitals as well. Frequency, enter. And check for spelling. There's no auto spelling on Excel, so make sure you check that. Okay, so price, frequency and sum. And I'm going to select the 3 columns, right click, and there you see the width. There you are, column width, and I want you to turn it from 8.43 to 15. Okay, you see, so now the width of the 3 columns is equal and it's slightly wider than it was before. The font color of the price and frequency you have to turn to red, so I'm going to select the 2 cells and click it on red. There we go. So now the text is red, and all 3 of them we have to center it and make it bold. So I'm going to make it bold over there and center it by clicking on that button. Okay, there we go. Let me just check if I've done everything. Enter the following column headings of price, frequency and sum, and the spelling is correct. That's good. Change the width of the column to 15. I've done that. Make bold and center these column headings. Well, they're bold and they're center now. That's good. And change the font color of the price and frequency heading to red. Excellent. So we've done all of that. Good. Number 3. Insert a formula into cell C2 to find the sum of the price. We must multiply the price in cell A2 by the frequency in cell B2. Note that formulas always begin with an equal sign. In spreadsheets, multiply is written as an asterisk symbol. Okay, so what do I have to do? To find the sum, C2, I say equal, because all formulas start with an equal sign, and then I want to do the price times the frequency. So I'm going to click now on A2, which is price, and as you can see, in here it appears now equals A2. Now what do I want to do with the price? I want to multiply it by the frequency. So I'm going to do Shift 8, which gives me the asterisk symbol, and I'm going to click on the cell I want it to multiply by, which is B2. There you go. So now in my cell C2 it says equals A2 times B2. Now it's very important that every time you have finished a formula you press enter. There you go. So it says 0 there now, because there's nothing written here in the price, there's nothing written here in the frequency, so the sum, the multiplication of the price times the frequency is 0. However, just to check myself, if I say a price of 5 and a frequency of 3, the sum should be 15. Let's see, enter, and there you go, 15. And so the spreadsheet automatically works it out for me. But I'm taking that away because that is not the right data, but I was just checking if I've done it correctly. Let's move on to the next page, to number 4, instruction 4. Because we are interested in the sum of all the values and in the total amount of values, write in cell A8 total. So in A8 over here, I'm going to write total. And then double points like that says. Make bold, blue and center this row. Okay, so the entire row. So I'm going to click and I've selected the entire row bold in the center, and does it say green by any chance? No. I think it does. Blue. No, blue. Yeah, I had green in my head, I don't know why. So I'm going to pick a nice blue. There we go. What else does it say? Create a border around these 3 cells. So A8 up till C8, I have to create a border. How do I do that? Now I select only the 3 cells, so not the entire row. And then I right click with my mouse in those cells, and it says here format cells. I'm going to click on that, and then a menu will appear. Format cells, all sorts of things you can do with it. Number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. And we're interested in creating a border. Then I have different styles of border. I like a nice thick border so I can see it, and I want it on the outline, the perimeter, but also on the inside, also on these lines over there. So here I could change it if I want, but I don't. I want it everywhere, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and I say OK. And now if I click here, I can see I have a nice, beautiful border. There we go. Your spreadsheet will now look like this, and indeed it looks the same. Save your file. So it's very important that always when you work on a computer to save a lot of times, because something can go wrong and you don't want to lose all your work. So I'm just going to press on the save icon, and now it is saved. That's that. Instruction 6. Drag the bottom right corner of cell 2 down to C2, I should say, down to C6, so that the formula is copied into the cell from C2 to C6. Alright, so I want the same formula, the one I created here, and if I stand on the cell, I see equals A2 times B2, because that's the formula I created before. And if I double click on the cell, I can actually see it in the cell, A2, the blue one, times B2. But I want that formula in all these cells. I do not have to retype it 5 or 6 times. No, what do I can do? I'm going to stand in the cell, and you see the little square there in the bottom right corner. I'm going to drag it down, and I have to drag it down all the way to C6, which is over here. And then I'm going to release the mouse, and as you can see now, I have those zeros everywhere. And just to check the formula, I'm going to double click on one of those cells, and it says equals B5 times B5. And so for this cell, it's this one times that one, and the price here times the frequency there. Alright, press enter, otherwise you are going to change the formula perhaps if you don't. There we go. Click on one of the cells to check that the formula has been copied. And notice that the formula can be seen at the top in the formula bar. So if I just stand on a cell, I can see the formula here. As you know, A3 times B3. If I double click on it, I can actually see which cells are multiplied by each other. Enter. Okay. Instruction 8, it says, to let the spreadsheet calculate the total frequency, first select cell B8 and press on auto sum. Alright, so in a minute we're going to add all our data here, and the total frequency, that is something I do not have to calculate. The spreadsheet program will do it for me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to stand in the cell where I want to have the total sum. I'm going to stand on that, and I'm going to press on auto sum. There we go. So click on that, and now I'm going to select the cells I want it to add. As you know, the sum is a different word for adding, and you can see here already equals sum, and then in the brackets. And in those brackets, I'm going to select the cells. I'm just going to left click and hold the mouse and drag it all the way down to B6. And now you can see equals the sum from B2 to B6. Enter. So start with an enter. And it says a 0 there now because there's nothing inside. But if I would do here a 1, a 2, and a 3, the sum of 1, 2, 3 is 6. And you see that it is automatically updated by the spreadsheet because the formula is there. I'm going to take that away. That was just to show you. There we go. Cell B8 now asks which cells he needs to calculate the sum of. Select cell B2 until and including cell B6 by pressing and holding the left click of the mouse in cell B and dragging it down to B6. Press enter. So that's what we've just done, and we have it over there. Question 9, or instruction 9, repeat these steps to calculate the total sum. So we're going to do the same here. So I'm going to press auto sum, and it's going to ask me what you wanted to add. Well, it's a little bit too far, so I'm going to I don't want all of that, I just want these, so I'm going to start on C2 and drag it down to C6 and then enter. There we go. Your spreadsheet should now look like this. Look at the picture, and indeed if I look at my spreadsheet now on the computer screen, it looks exactly the same, so that's great. Let's move on. Instruction 10, of course we save it because we do that all of the time. It only takes half a second. 11. Now we start to insert our data into the spreadsheet. Yeah? And I went to many shops, I should say, and asked the price of a can of cola. And the results I put in that particular frequency table. So I'm going to write the price for 4.50, 5.25, 5 pounds and 40 cents, and 5.75. There we go. Now don't worry too much that automatically simplified to one decimal place. You can leave it like that. The frequency 12, enter 9, enter 23. So you insert it in your table. Sorry, 19 and 7, there you go. And as you can see, automatically everything is calculated. You see how much time that saves, especially if you have big tables and a lot of data to insert. You do not have to add anything up yourself. You do not have to multiply anything yourself. So that is a big time saver. And it says indeed, while entering the information from the table, did you notice how the spreadsheet updates the total by itself? Yeah? So you can see those numbers, they update themselves, so that's great. Instruction 12. Now we will let our spreadsheet calculate the mean average. So we're going to write mean average in cell A10. Okay, so here we're going to write mean average, and check your spelling please, double point, enter in cell A10. And you're going to select cell A10 and B10 and make the data bold, green and central. So select those two cells, bold, choose a pretty green, one you can read as well, and in the center. There we go. Create a border around these cells, so these two cells, still select them, right click, format cells, you go to border, it's already there. I like a nice thick border, you choose your own. There we go, mean average, look at that, beautiful. Please note you already have your data here. Yeah, so on your instruction sheets, everything is still 0, but as you can see, we have already entered the data here, so it's slightly different. Instruction 13. Insert the formula in cell B10, so that is here, to calculate the mean average. Note that formulas still always begin with an equal sign, and the division sign is the forward slash. So what do we have to do? We say, so we stand in B10, we start with equal, and the mean average, as you know, is the total sum divided by the amount of data. So the total sum, so that is C8, I'm going to click it, divided by forward slash the total frequency, and I'm going to click on B8, that is, there we go. And then I press enter, there we go. And if I double click, it tells me still equals C8 divided by B8. Now the blue one divided by the red one, that makes sense, enter. And as you can see, the mean average is slightly more than 5. And does that make sense? Yes, it makes sense, because the mean average can never be more than 5.75 or less than 4. It's somewhere in between. And as you know, the most values there are roughly more than 5. So it makes sense that it's a little bit more than 5 for a can of Coca-Cola. Fantastic, everything makes sense. Now we're going to answer the question, so you can do that yourself, and then you can continue with part 2 in the extension, and hopefully you are able to answer those questions by yourself too. I hope this was useful, and this is how we use spreadsheets in our daily lives to do all sorts of work for us. It's used a lot in all the businesses around the world. We use it. We use it in school. People use it at home. So it's a very useful piece of equipment for you to use too in the future. or perhaps even now already. Okay, I wish you a very pleasant day and all the best. Bye-bye.